Hello and welcome to webinar number 2, Word with Friends. Before we get going on this one, I just want to thank everyone that attended last month's webinar. We had a lot of fun doing it, and we look forward to making these in the future for you. We got some great feedback from you guys on Excel on wanting to do macros and pivot tables in the near future, so we look forward to doing that. But we wanted to touch base on more Office programs before we circle back to Excel. So that's why we're here today with Word. Before we get going, once again, there's a chat box on the right-hand side. If you guys have any questions, please put them in there and we'll make sure to answer them as quickly as possible. Also, if you have any more questions or want to tell me I'm doing a terrible job or doing a great job, my email is alex, A-L-E-X, at omegacomputerservices.com. This one is going to be a little bit shorter. I think people liked the shorter webinar style. I know you guys have stuff to do and it is during the day. So we wanted to make these compact but also to the point. So hopefully we hit those on the head with this one. So we're just going to go over some basic formatting, working with page breaks, some tables, and then header and footer too. So other than that, I think we are ready to get going here. I have inputted some simple words in here, the best trips to take with your friends. I thought it was fitting, but I just left this page blank simply for I wanted it as a cover page. So I'm going to add an image to make it look a little nicer. So if I go up to the Insert tab and then Pictures, you can see it pulls up my picture file, and I'm going to insert this Word with Friends image. So once this image is in the document, you can see a new tab that pops up here. It's the Format tab. So you can see here you have picture styles. You can adjust it, range, change the size. So if I just pull this drop down, you can see there's borders and shadows. So I'm just going to give it this simple drop shadow here. And then also corrections, you can make it darker or make it lighter. Color, you can change the color totally or add an artistic effect to it. So I'll add this one for now. You can also do a lot more with images. I don't really want to dive all into it and waste our time talking about a picture, but feel free to play around, and if you have any questions, let me know. So I'm going to make this guy a little bigger. I'm going to go down to this bottom right hand circle here and click and drag to expand it. Now right now my picture is currently in line with text. So if I try to move it, I get this little cursor that pops up that moves around like a text would. But if I go over to this guy, this layout options, also the wrap an image, if I click on that, you can see right now it's the inline with text. And also these images show you kind of how this picture will work with text. So right now it's kind of going to work around it. A couple of these other options behind text, which I'm going to put in right now, it lets the image move more freely and behind the words. I mean, since it's on its own page, I can't really give you a great example. I could move it down here actually. Let me do that so I can show you what I mean. So it's behind this text box that's there, and you can kind of see the image bounce around. But right now I'm just going to leave it on the middle of the page here. So that's just the basic with working with images. Now we're going to move over to kind of viewing your document as a whole and some other simple tools. So I'll click out of that, and now we're going to go to the View section. So there's two that I'm going to go over, Zoom and Split. So Zoom is the first one I'm going to go to. If I go ahead and I click this plus button in the bottom right hand corner, it's going to zoom in on my document. If I click the minus, it's going to zoom out. The more you zoom out, the more pages fill in. So I'm going to go back and go to 100% here. I guess I should use the 100% tool to show you guys. I'm supposed to be the word master here, and I'm just using my old habit ways of plus and minus. So for this, if you click zoom up in the view tab, you get the option of 200%, 100%, 75%, and then page width, text width, many pages. So if I go ahead here and click many pages and then click OK, you can see I can see an overview of my entire document. So you can actually edit from here. I strongly don't recommend it simply because you can't see very much. But for now, we're just going to go back to the document. So I go 100% in there. Another thing that's helpful is split. So if you want to see something that's at the top of your document, let's say we'll go to page 1, and then you want to see something at the bottom, but you don't want to have to keep scrolling back and forth, you can split your windows. So if I go ahead and click View Split, another window will pop up here, and I can, whatever window I hover my mouse over, I'm able to scroll with. So you can see, maybe I want to say at the top for the best trips to take with my friends. However, in this one, I want to scroll all the way to the bottom and get some information here on who voted for what trip they wanted to take. So that's just some basic view options. And then once you want to get out of split, just make sure you're in the view tab and then click remove split, and it'll take you back to that top pane that you're in. Okay, next thing that we're going to go over is your word count. So right now you can see that, I guess you can't see because I didn't point it out. In this bottom left hand corner, I have 1,640 words. So if this will always be there, you'll always get a word count. Even when you're typing, it'll adjust to live amounts. So if I go ahead and I left click that, it'll give me some more statistics on what's going on in my paper, how many characters with and without spaces, paragraphs, lines, and pages. So this can be useful if you're working on, you're trying to limit your word count or your how many pages you have. So also with the word count section, if I just highlight something, if I left click and drag over a section, you can see that it says here I have 114 words there out of my 1640. And I can also click on this and it'll tell me the same exact things as before, but in that condensed version of what I just highlighted. So you can see how many characters I have with spaces, without. So that is just the basic of the word count section there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into headers and footers. So one thing I'm going to talk about, so I hope this makes sense, if to get into a header or footer, all you have to do is double click. I'm sorry if you guys didn't see that. I'm going to go to this top section and double click there, and that'll pull up my header along with my footer at the bottom. So headers and footers are meant for just like simple images you want to be displayed on every page, or definitely page numbers are usually in the footer section or in the header. So for this one, we're going to put an image at the top left. However, I'm going to uncheck this for now just to show you what this is. So if I go ahead and click pictures and then put this "We Love" here, you see this format pane comes up again as what we just went over with the other image. You can put different styles on it, but I'm just going to leave it for now. So I'm going to double click out of there. And now I can show you that it's on every single page in my document at that top left corner that it's in. So it's always going to stay stationary there. But most people don't want the image on the first page, or they don't want a page number. So if I go back into my header, what I unchecked before was different, first page, which is usually unchecked. So for this one, I'm going to check it again, and you're going to see that it's going to remove the image from this first page. So if I go ahead and click there, it instantly removes that, and then I can close my header and footer and then scroll down. Excuse me, guys, I'm going to grab a drink of water. My voice is getting a little raspy. All right. So now you can see that it's gone on the first page, but it still remained on all of the pages following that first page. So now we're actually going to jump back into the header and footer, but this time we're going to be in the footer. So if I click here, I am going to insert a page number. So once you click the drop down in the page number, you get some options of where you can put the page number, and also you can go in and customize them a little more if you want to edit them to your liking. But right now we're just going to keep it at the bottom of the page. Let's just select one of these. So I can go ahead and I'll close that. Now you can see I have page numbers. Oh, I'm sorry, because I just selected don't show our different first page. So now I'm going to, I'll just unselect it so it'll be even now. Now we'll go back down here and re-input this page number. There we go. Look at that, I forgot what I was doing. Okay, now you can see that all page numbers are throughout the document. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is section breaks. This can be a little confusing, so if you have any questions on this, feel free to put them in the chat box or email me afterwards if you're still confused on them. So I am going to show you guys this paragraph option. So I'm sure a lot of you did this or done this. I know I have done this in the past. Is when you want to get some text to the next page, say you're just a couple lines off, you just hit enter a few times. That is actually the totally wrong way to do it because it can mess up your formatting throughout the entire document. So if I go ahead here and I click enter a couple times, and then I go and click this paragraph so I can show you. So these little paragraph symbols are every time I've hit enter. So you can see here I've hit it 6 times here. This will keep that gap throughout the entire paper. So if I decide to type more at the top, I'll always have that 6 enter gap, or I'll have to go back and fix it. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to backspace all of those. And I'm going to deselect this. Now the best way to do this is using a page break. So you're basically telling your paper that you want a new page to start here with these words. And then so it won't get confused trying to pull down the other words with it. So to do that, I'm going to select where I want the page break to begin, which is right here. So this is name. I'm going to go ahead and go to layout and then breaks. So I click the drop down and I have a bunch of different options here. We're simply going to focus on the next page break. So if I go ahead and click next page, this moves the wording down that I wanted onto this page. And now there's not a bunch of enters here dragging everything else down with the formatting. Now also I'm going to change this text to a table. So I'm going to change the orientation of just this one page, which you can only do if you use page breaks. So that's another reason not to hit enter. If I only hit enter to get these guys down here and I try to change the orientation of this page, it's going to change every page of my document to the landscape orientation. So if I go ahead and click this, it turns just this one page on its side. So now I am going to jump in converting text to table. Once again, if you have any questions about the breaks, how to use the other ones, send me an email or put it in the chat box, because that's definitely confusing and took me a long time to understand in the past. So now that I have this text here, I'm going to highlight it all and then go to insert, and then I have this table drop down here, which I'm going to click on. And now most people think that the best way to do it is just draw the table and all that. We'll get into that right after I do this. So I'm going to go convert text to table. So when I click that, I get a box that pops up and asks me how I want the table to be fit. I kind of cheated. I filled it in already with what it was, so we didn't have to watch me type through this. So you can see that I'm going to have 2 columns with 11 rows. The fixed width is auto to the size of the page, and then this part is important, where you want the text to be separated at. So you have the option of paragraph, commas, or tabs, but mine's the other. I have a semicolon that is separating who voted for what trip they wanted to take. So on here, if I click OK, you can see that it separates these two into a nice table with 2 separate columns. So that's just a nice way to convert some text into a table if you're looking to organize things a little better. The next thing that we're going to do is draw a table, which is what I was just talking about here. If I go insert and then table, a lot of people are restricted with, they think this is the only way that you can make a table in Word. However, if you go to draw, you see you have this nice pen. So the first thing that you're going to do is select the size of your table. So let's say I want it to just be a half a page. I can do that with this draw tool. It isn't available to you when you just select those boxes with the drop down. So now that I have this nice rectangle outline, I can draw columns in here, and they can be different sizes and widths. You can customize it a lot more than any other way. So I can also make a line, and even if I wanted to, I could make a diagonal in a column. So it's a super nice tool. So I recommend using the draw tool when you're trying to make your own table because you can struggle with fitting it in a normal document. But for now, we're just going to select this, excuse me, and delete it because we're not going to work with that. Maybe not. There we go. So the next thing that we're going to do is formatting this table that we have. It works kind of just like any other Excel table. If you guys attended the last webinar, you can insert below, insert left, insert right. You can merge cells. I'm going to actually add a design to it. So like I said earlier, these tabs just pop up when you click on this. So the Word recognizes this as a chart. So if I go ahead and click in here, it's going to pull up a design and layout table for this. So I'm just going to select one of these pre-made designs. Let's go with this guy. So you can see whose name it is and the country that they voted in. You can also change border styles, what side has borders, where borders are at, the shading of it. Now I'm just going to go to the layout. So now that I'm in the layout section, this table is pretty wide, so I'd like to slim it down so I could fit it in some other places here. So I'm going to go to auto fit and then auto fit contents. And when I do that, it slims the table down and pushes it together to fit the text that's involved. Okay, so that is just the basics for tables. Next, we're going to get into properly adding spaces between paragraphs. Which is kind of what I was talking about earlier, was pressing the enter button. That really will mess up the whole format of your document. So to do this, we're going to go ahead, and as you can see here, I have pretty big spaces in between here, and I'd like to make those pretty even throughout the paragraphs. So if I go now, if I click Control A, it's going to highlight everything that's in my document. And then if I go to this paragraph section in the Home tab, and I click this expand to more settings, you have a couple options here with your indentations and spacing. This is where you can set your double or line and a half. Right now we're in single line spacing. But right now is the spacing after a paragraph. So sometimes if you struggle with there's either a really big space or there's a small space, this is the place to go. So I'm going to go click after, and I'm going to make it a 12 point and then click OK. Now you can see that these guys kind of span out and look the same throughout. So there's just a nice spacing. It's actually kind of large, so I might actually go back and make it smaller. So let me see that. Oh, whoops. Control A. Go back to this. Let's just make it to 0. That's where we were at before. So that'll work if you're looking to make sure that everything in your document is aligned. I know that was kind of a bad example, so I'm sorry for that. The next thing we're going to talk about is section breaks to columns. This one can also be a little difficult. But it can be handy when you're trying to separate these guys. So let's say if I have these three here and I want to make them into columns. If I go back to layout and then the column section, so when I click this drop down here, you have the option of 2, 3, left, right. I'm going to go ahead and just go, let's select 3. Now the problem with this is it is putting everything in this document into columns of 3, which I don't want. Say maybe I just want a page or a section. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and click undo. So now I'm just going to go, let's say to the bottom. Yeah. So let's add these 3, and we're going to insert a page break here. So this is a page break I'm going to insert there. This is a little different because it is now on its own separate page from everything else. So now if I highlight this text and then go to the column section and then turn this into 3, it's only going to do it to this one page. So now this can be handy when you're working with small amounts of information. There's kind of a lot that follow each one of these, so it looks a little ugly. But make sure you insert that page break before so you can make sure those columns work evenly. But I'm going to undo those last couple steps I did. Let's go one more, put them back to where they were. Okay. Now we only got a few things left. I'm actually going to insert another page here. Once again, we'll go back to the page breaks, mark a new page there, but I am going to actually turn this one back to portrait. Oh, excuse me, I just broke my own rule. I want to go back to undo and undo this one as well. It was not a page break that I wanted this section break. So I'm going to make this one back to portrait. So now you can see that this guy stays in landscape mode, but the rest remain in portrait mode. So a couple tricks that we're going to talk about. I'm actually going to let's call this page tricks. Actually, before we get into these tricks, there's something that I got to talk about. So I already have a pre-made style up here, which come in handy when you use table of contents. You can select the style that you use. You can see that all my headings previous to this are that style. So to do that, to make a style, you highlight what you want, and then you click this drop down, and then you click create a style, and this will be, you can call it style 3. So now you can always highlight text and make sure that that is that style. So if I go here and then I go back to my home section and click style 3, it makes it that style. And you can see that it brings up all of the wrong wording that's in it. Not wrong wording, but just misspelled from cities. So we're going to remain at style 2, even though they're both the same. But this one we're going to adjust back to style 1. And I'll show you, we're going to put in a table of contents to end this webinar. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So the first thing that we're going to do is how to input random text. And I'm actually going to make this style 3. So one way to do this is handy when you're working with designing a Word document and aren't really sure what's going to go in it, but would like to see an example of what wording would look like around, say if you have an image or you're just working with a certain style type. So if you click equal and then rand, type in rand, and then you put in parentheses here. This is going to be the number of paragraphs and the number of lines of random text. So let's say I want 5 paragraphs and then I put a comma and I want them to be 4 lines each. And then I close that parentheses. And then when I click enter, it's going to fill it in with what I just told it to do. So you can see here that there's these 5 paragraphs and they're all, what did I say? 4 lines each? Yeah. So it just gives you a nice visualization of what can be happening with your document, but say you don't know all of the wording yet, you can work with images around it just to get a better grasp on it. The next thing that we're going to do is talking about how to insert a comment and delete a comment. So the easiest way to do that is put your cursor where you would like the comment to be. So let's say this is saying that the word design is wrong. So I'll go in there and then I'm going to go ahead and click review and then new comment. And it's going to put a new comment in here and then I'm going to say fix the word design. And then I can click off of it back in there. And now if someone is editing this, they can see that I have put this option in here. It's highlighting pictures, but I can change it. But it'll show them what you're looking at and any comments that you have, so you guys can edit that. So also, you can delete a comment. So say I no longer want this to be in here, and I'll just go ahead and click delete, and it'll delete that comment from the document. You also saw the reply. You could reply with a simple message of no, I wanted design to be that way, and then you can also click resolve once you resolve that, and it'll make that comment go away. Another quick little trick that we're going to do, excuse me, is using the formatting tool, the format paint tool, excuse me. So if let's say I make this wording, this yellow, and you just want to make another word yellow in these paragraphs, the best way to do it is select this, and then click Control C, and then you can click this Format Painter under the clipboard. And since you just copied that, it's going to take that format and whatever I highlight, it's going to change it to that format. So you can see when I do that, it's going to change that whole sentence to the format that I selected previous. So that can be useful when you're unsure of what format you put something in maybe a week ago and you got to go back and do it again, and then you can see what's going on with that. So those are just some basic tricks that we're going to go over. We're going to start to wrap this thing up. The last thing we're going to do is talk about the table of contents and then adding a watermark. So we are going to go back to the top of this document, and then I want to insert another new page here to hold my table of contents. So I'm going to go Layout, Break, and then Next Page. So page 2 is going to be the table of contents page. Let me click in here. Okay. So to insert a table of contents, the best way to do that is just go to the Reference tab and then click the drop-down Table of Contents. You can see you have some options here: Automatic Table 1, Automatic Table 2, Manual. Now I remember when I told you guys earlier about the heading style, and I made that one style. Now since I made the style, I'm going to have to make a custom Table of Contents. Because the Word template is simply using the ones that they have set up for you. So to change it to make sure it's all set, I'm going to go ahead and click Options here, and then you can see it's highlighted their basic heading. So they have heading 1, 2, and 3, but I don't have any of those in this document, so I'm going to deselect them. So now when I scroll down to here, I believe I made style 1, which was my main headings, and that's what I want to stand out in the table of contents. So I'm going to mark that as heading 1. If I click OK, you can see that there's one style here, and it's my style 1. And if I go ahead and click OK, it's going to input my table of contents here. Now, what's the best about table of contents is if you see how it says Control plus click to follow link. If I go Control plus, it's going to take me right down to that Los Angeles. That's why it's helpful to use the page breaks, like I said before, and not to hit enter, because then you're missing out on using that table of contents. So the last thing that we're going to do before we wrap it up here is adding a watermark, which is very simple. So the easiest way to add a watermark is go to the Design tab, and then all the way on the right side you have a couple options: page color, page borders, and watermark. So you want to add a watermark, excuse me. If you're sending it to someone, maybe you're not sure on if it's ready to be sent out yet. It's supposed to be a proof or it's confidential. You don't want anyone to print it out and it look nice. So if you click the drop down on the watermark, you have a couple options here. They have the confidential, the do not copy, the drafts. So we're actually just going to use one of these. You guys can experiment more. If you go to custom watermark, I'll click in here. You can actually add a picture, add different text to it. But right now I'm just going to cancel it. And now I'm just going to put in, let's say this is a confidential one. So you can see it's displaying the confidential behind on the backgrounds. Okay, well that is it for the Word with Friends webinar. I want to thank you guys so much again. If you've tuned in for 2 weeks in a row, a special thank you to you, but also if this is your first time watching one of our webinars, we want to make sure that you guys keep coming back. So please fill out the survey at the end of this. We get a lot of information from that and hope to make some more videos for you in the next coming months. We plan on having these every third Wednesday of the month, so be on the lookout for that. Put it on the calendar even if you're looking forward to these guys. So that is all. If you have any questions, please email me once again, Alex, ALEX, @omegacomputerservices.com. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.